How you're doing? I want you to take what I'm saying with a pinch of salt. This is an awkward one to explain, but I find sharing experiences, fun experiences, things that I enjoy, incredibly difficult with my children. It's one of the hardest things I find with being a dad. A lot of their hobbies are bang on splits of mine. They love computers, they love games, technology, learning new things, just all sorts of stuff. And they've always, bless them, gone out of their way to try and make me happy or to try and get my attention. But I have to be a dad first. Obviously, right? You can't be like a friend and then a dad. You know, I've got to make sure that what is best for them is the priority. Then everything else kind of comes after that. Whereas if I just kind of start doing the friend thing, letting things slide, that means that kind of moral directions and things like that, advice and all that, kind of take a backseat. And I can't be having that. So what's the groove? Today, we were supposed to be live streaming, me and my boys. I don't normally live stream with the boys for this very reason, actually. But we were going to live stream Sackboy: A Big Adventure, the Little Big Planet spin-off game on PlayStation 5. They were psyched as all balls because we were all going to be playing games together and it was going to be a live stream. They were going to be on one of the dad's live streams. No camera or anything, just microphone and playing the game, right? The problem comes in when they start showing off, when they start playing up, when they start aggroing each other and all that kind of stuff. We're supposed to be having fun. But I'm a dad, which means that I'm also a disciplinarian. And I don't want to be a disciplinarian doling out, swift punishment when I'm trying to have fun, sharing a good time, a fun moment with my children. But they're not going to be thinking, Dad's taking some time out. Let's do our best just to have a good time and not make Dad have to do the dad thing. Let's do the friend thing. I mean, they're just kids. They don't necessarily understand that. You know, they don't want to wind you up because they obviously children want to usually kind of make their parents happy, because when their parents are happy, then the parents spend more time with the children. But that's the way to do that hasn't necessarily formed yet. They're just having a laugh. They're just kids being kids. In my case, just boys being boys, taking the mickey, and, they turn the volume up to 11. In fairness, my children don't do 11, because 11's for pussies. They go all the way up to 22, and things that, they probably shouldn't do, and things they probably shouldn't say, they just go all out. It's like, and I gave them ground rules before we started, and they broke pretty much every single one of them. Pretty much. No, that's not true. It was literally, because I have two pretty solid rules in life: avoid death and try not to be a cunt. And I try and teach the boys that. It's like, don't be nasty to each other. Don't start bullying each other to get the other to do the thing that you want them to do. Don't start blaming each other for things. Just chill out and have fun. That's what this is. Just don't be dicks to one another whilst we're doing it, because that means I'm going to have to jump in and break it up. I don't want to do that. And the other one was no kind of calls to arms like what you see on YouTube channels that you watch and live streams that you occasionally watch. I don't want to hear like, comment, subscribe, follow, blah, blah, blah. There's none of that. Just don't. Can we just sit down, pretend the thing's not running, and just go for it. That was a hard one for them to process. But I'm tempered by negative reinforcement. If anyone doesn't know what negative reinforcement is, I have spoken about this in great length over the last few years, that if I am doing something I enjoy and then something bad happens, it doesn't have to be directly related to the good thing. I will take the negative feeling and start to tie it to what I was doing at the time I had the negative feeling. Lots of people do this, but for me it's very much, it's a dominant force in my life. Usually whenever I find something I like or enjoy, negative reinforcement comes along and ruins it. Just over time, as the negatives start to build up whenever you start to do the thing that you like, or whilst you're doing the thing that you like, you get to that point where you then look at the thing that you liked, and then go, but all this normally happens, and you start to associate the feeling with the good thing, regardless of whether or not it directly relates to. It could be like, 3 leaps away, but you still tie the two feelings together. And so in the case of the kids, with playing these games, and I don't play games with the kids that much because it drives me absolutely insane. I have been advised not to play games with my children, like video games and stuff like that, just because if I'm trying to do something I enjoy to relax, to have a good time, the last thing I want to do is put on an angry voice and tell my kids to stop being dickheads to one another. That really starts to taint the groove that I've going on, and that's kind of what happened today. I just want to hang out with my boys, and yet every 20 minutes I was like, dude, don't do that. Dude, don't say that. Don't say that to your brother. That's not cool. What are you on about? Don't do that. And it's just, eventually I was just like, if I turn off the game, if I leave the game, I don't have to keep getting aggro. And I'm not associating it with playing the game with them. It's just me back in dad mode. I'm not, I've often been told through my life that doing certain things are okay, and then days, weeks, months, years later, something that I've been cleared to do is then used against me, and that then kind of, years and years and years ago, as an example, video games were completely destroyed for me. I was called worthless scumbag, video game addict, all this kind of stuff. Like really nasty stuff, like really going for my character, making out that I was lazy and worthless and all I did was play games and spend money and all that kind of stuff. And the funny thing is, I didn't. I barely played even a few hours a week. I play a lot more now than I did back then, but because I just constantly kept on getting bashed with these things, I was just like, I don't really want to play games anymore, because if I do, and that one does tie in directly to stuff like games and that, so I don't really want to play games because I don't want people to keep saying that about me anymore. I started to almost believe it. The negative reinforcement starts to get into the brain, and you're like, yeah, if I'm doing that, then this must be true. No matter how far of a leap it is from reality, you eventually start to believe it. You start to associate the negative feeling with the thing that's being targeted, or the thing that you're doing. And in some cases, I would imagine it's not too bad of a thing. Like if you, oh mate, cocaine, and then someone starts kind of hammering in on cocaine, that might be a good thing to have negative reinforcement push out of you, but a hobby that's not harming anyone, or a hobby that you could share with someone, I'd have to be a good dad first. right? And I have to raise my children appropriately so that they don't take aggro behaviours from home and think that they can do that with other people, you know? And it kind of concerned me, to be fair, because in a few months' time, my eldest son's going to be getting into VR, and I thought that I'd drummed into them that just be kind to other people. You don't have to be perfect, you don't have to be flawless, but just don't be a dick, because you are dealing with another person with complex emotions and all this kind of stuff. Just like yourself, it's the whole treat others as you'd like to be treated, yet there are certain occasions where a lot of these things slip, and I'm like, are they just going to go online, like as a lot of people do, are they going to just go out there, see someone they don't know, and just be a dick to them because they don't know them and the consequences are usually quite low? Regardless of the level, I'd rather they didn't do it. You know, I'd like to be able to sit down and play games with my kids without pulling my hair out, without having to tell them off. But as I say, they've not got that groove yet to go. They were like, oh mate, you know, Dad's taken some time off to play some games with us. Great. They even said it on the stream. This is so cool. And then they proceeded to basically rip the shit out of each other, and I was like, oh lads, don't. Please don't. Because I'm going to tell you off, and that's just going to taint this groove, and just eventually I just hit the stop button. I said to him, like, one more and will be enough, and I must have given him like 10 shots each. And I was just like, nope, that's gone. And I spoke to a few other people about it, and they said, yeah, they'd have cut it a lot sooner than when I did, but I want to be able to share things that I enjoy with my kids. You know, I want to be able to I want them to be able to share things they enjoy with me, and we can all go, yeah, that's rad, and, you know, build experiences, learn new things and all that kind of stuff. But, oh man, negative reinforcement is such a bitch. I don't want to be a disciplinarian, but that's my job as their father. To make sure that they are decent human beings, and that they will act like decent human beings, be decent human beings to other human beings they meet. You know, realistically, some good-natured ribbing isn't that big of a deal as long as you know the person. But there are lines that you don't cross, and those lines are a lot easier to accidentally kind of jump over when it's someone you don't know. But because you don't know these people, or if it is like the case of online or whatever, go onto any online shooter, any popular online game, and you will find literally 9 through 20-year-olds calling each other what the fuck ever you could possibly imagine that just isn't okay to say. I say some really out there stuff, and you have the right to say whatever you want to say, but when you're trying to have a good time, when you're just trying to sit down and have a laugh, the last thing you want is for someone to come along and shit over your good thing. You know? Because if you're having a crap time out of that good thing, you need that good thing to get you through the day. You might need that good thing to get you through the day. The last thing you want is some little punk ass ruining it for you. Sometimes I find it really hard to be a dad and have fun. I don't know if maybe I've kind of, am I coming at it from the wrong way? I don't know. But does that, I don't even know if that really makes any sense. I really don't. I'm sure, because I know many people who have parents who would rather be their friends than parent, because they don't want to get old, kind of thing. Or at least that seems to be what comes across to me. They rather than help their child, steer the child in the right direction, they want to be the kid's friend first and foremost. I don't necessarily think that's always your job as a parent. You should like your kid, and your kid should realistically like you too, but I'd rather give my kids a solid moral grounding first, and help teach them and guide them through life, but I don't want us to ruin each other's hobbies just by sharing time. I don't know how to word it. Anyway, this has gone on way longer than I probably should have done to say negative reinforcement sucks. It's a real thing. It's a daily thing. And it can really develop into trust issues. That sounds really silly, but it just can. When everything seems like it's going to be alright, and then the negativity starts coming in from all the other angles and poisons that pool for you, it's hard to go back to it. It's really hard to go back to it. I still feel guilty just sitting down and playing video games. Even when I'm playing games with my kids, I sit there and I feel guilty because of stuff that's happened previously in my life. Hope you're well. There are many difficult things with being a parent. None of us want to have to tell our kids off because no one wants to have to make anyone else sad, I hope. But better you do it than have them hurt someone else or someone else lose their rag and teach them the lessons that you shouldn't do. See you in the next one.